Hey guys, it's Steven. Today I'm going to talk about the power bar setup and some specific questions that I get around the power bar setup. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a former market maker. Little known fact, I was also on the committee that wrote the first trader's exam, what's now called the Series 57 that FINRA administers. So I'm probably older than a few of you guys watching this video. But let's jump right into the power bar setup. For those of you who don't know what this setup is, I do have a cheat sheet that I put together. If you comment power, the word power, in the comments below, I will happily send you that for free so you have a detailed description of it. But what I want to do is go through quickly what the power bar setup is and then talk about how to trade the power bar setup. The power bar setup is a power bar, which is a candle that's larger than the candles around it. It needs to originate or begin near the 20 simple moving average, which is the only line I have on my chart. I like my charts as clean as possible. It clears support or resistance to the left. And you can see this one, this power bar is clearing this resistance to the left. It's actually clearing even more resistance if you go back in time a little bit, right? It's clearing that resistance. It's moving in the direction of the 20. And the last thing is where the stop is placed in a power bar. And it's just under the power bar, which is right here. That's the stop. The entry is toward the end of the power bar. This is a 2-minute chart. One of the questions I get a lot, especially near the open, is what if the power bar is too large? Right on top of that, I get another question a lot, and that is, I'd like to have confirmation with the power bar. For some reason, people don't like to trade the one bar as an entry, and they want confirmation that the stock, or in this case, it's NASDAQ futures we're looking at, are moving in that direction. Here's the thing. The power bar is the confirmation. I'm not looking for confirmation of a power bar because it serves as the confirmation. One of the reasons power bars are large is because they are the confirmation. So you're getting the beginning of a nice move often. And I found that the power bar setup works around 60 to 70% of the time. And that's without confirmation, again, because the power bar itself is confirmation. The problem that people bring to me is now my stop is the size of the power bar. I have no problem with moving the stop to about 20% into the power bar. That makes the stop size, which is now this size, a little bit smaller than if you use the base of the power bar, which now makes your stop this size. If you get a reversal of the power bar and it goes through 80% of the power bar, there's a high likelihood that the trade is going to fail anyhow. So if this power bar is large, feel free to put your stop 20% into the power bar. But I never have an issue with the power bar, again, being too big because it's serving as both my entry on the trade and my confirmation on the trade. So now I'm going to run through a couple of scenarios using the power bar on different stocks. This indicator is my proprietary indicator that I developed. If you want an easier way to spot the power bar setup, there's a link to that indicator that I'm going to be using in the description below. So let's just take a look at how the power bar performed. And I'm going to look again at various stocks and how the power bar performed today. First, since we have it up already, the futures, this entry morning would have given all three take profit levels in the indicator. The profit levels are set at 1 times the risk, which is this is the risk. So since this is the size of the risk, that's the size of the first take profit. The second is 1.5 this size, and the third is 2 times the size of the risk. That's the way my indicator works. There are different ways to take profit, which I totally get. When you're entering a trade, I'm more concerned with entering correctly than the take profit levels, but that's what I'm going to use because that's the way that my proprietary indicator is set up. So on Qs, this was about a 70-point move. This morning for the take profit, a short fired here. This was the power bar. It's clearing, again, this support to the left. And because the power bar is smaller, the amount of profit that I'm looking for is smaller. Here you get about 20 points on the futures. And then there are a couple of stop losses. This stop loss, you end up losing about 12 or 15 points. And in this stop loss, you end up losing about 10 points. That's an important feature of the power bar setup that I think a lot of people overlook. And that is that when you're taking profit and taking losses, the take profit is set up at, again, 1 times your risk, 1.5 and 2 times your risk. The stop loss is always 1 time your risk. And when we get into chop like this, often that risk is much smaller than when we're trending. So when you take a loss with a power bar setup, which most of the time when that loss happens, it's when we're in chop. That chop, while it stinks to take the loss, is going to keep the loss small. And I'll show you an example of that as we keep talking. The next stock I want to look at is one that I've been trading. It's a smaller stock, SOUN AI. It's SOUN. If you look at SOUN, like I said, this is a much smaller stock than obviously the Q futures. It trades around $9, $10, $11. This was the indicator on SOUN this morning. A short at around 987, a 20-cent profit, another short with about a 10-cent profit. And this is to show you guys that this works on smaller stocks as well. The power bar is not confined to only large stocks. The profit taking is smaller, but percentage-wise, these are really nice profits. 30 cents, again, in a $10 stock off the open. Another 10 cents here. So 40 cents in a $10 stock. And then you get into chop a little bit. This trade is profitable with the take profit. It's only about 5 or 6 cents because it's a small stock. And then over later in the day, there's a little bit of chop. But again, you're talking about losing 4, 5, 6, 7 cents when you've already made 40 cents profit in the stock. You can also not trade around the lunchtime hour, which I highly encourage my traders not to do anyhow, and avoid chop like this. Another small stock that I like to trade is BBAI. Again, a stop out here for just a few cents, a profitable trade here for 10, 12 cents, a profitable trade here for another 6, 7 cents. Another profitable trade here. And you can see one of the things that's happening is that the power bar trade is catching the trend, right? The power bar has to be in the direction of the 20. If the 20 is flat, then it can be in either direction. Here you can see the 20 flattened out, and you got a short here that ended up in a 5 or 6 cent loss. But that's fine after capturing a large piece of this move higher during the early part of the day. And as I said, you don't have to take each one of these, take profit. If you're on trend and the power bar keeps firing and you keep moving your stop up, you can simply ride the trend with the power bar and get stopped out here when you get a reversal. It's another way to trade the power bar as far as taking profit goes. Basically, you're getting 3 waves or 3 pushes here. And after the third push, you get, a decent size pullback, again, for a small stock. But you can see as you clear this resistance to the left, that is your confirmation with the power bar. You don't need another bar to form. This is the entry at the end of the power bar. Another good question I get is, does the power bar strategy work on different time frames? And recently, a lot of people have been asking, does it work on a 15-minute time frame? Another stock that I trade is SOFI. Let's take a look at the 15-minute time frame for SOFI. So in answering some of those questions around the 15-minute time frame, if you're going to trade a 15-minute time frame, I think you need to be geared more toward swing trading as opposed to just intraday trading. And that's how, at least that's how I would trade the 15-minute time frame, is it more of a swing trade, again, than just intraday. But this is what the power bar looks like, again, on SOFI, which is a smaller stock that I like to trade around. It moves really well, and you can see what the power bar setups look like. And I'm going to go over these sort of quickly. I'm not going to pop through each one, but this is how you can tell if a power bar strategy is working well in your stock. Just look for the number of take profits versus the stop losses that you see. And this, I think, paints a really good picture of the stop loss versus the take profit size. Look at these take profit sizes. Here is a short. That's the take profit size. Here is a short that fires here toward the end of the day. That's the take profit size. Here's a long that fires at the beginning of the day. That's the take profit size. Another short, take profit. Another long, take profit. And this, again, is what that looks like. That's the size of the take profit. And then look at the stop losses when they happen. This is a short that fires here, and your stop loss is this size. This is a short that fires here and actually has a take profit. This is a stop loss on a long. It fires here, so you'd be entering here, and you're stopped out here. This is another short that gets stopped, and the size of the stop is here. So these, again, this is the take profit size, and this is a very simplistic take profit strategy, right? Again, 1R, 1.5R, 2Rs, the way the indicator is set up. But this is the size of the take profit on a 15-minute chart. This is the size of the stop outs. And you can see there was another short here that fired that hasn't gotten to take profit yet. But right now, the indicators in a short on the 15-minute chart. So yes, absolutely, the power bar works on a 15-minute chart. You just have to be willing to trade these more as swing trades as opposed to just intraday. If you're trading it just intraday, you may get, trades like this. This was just an intraday trade, but you're going to do much better trading it as a swing trade as opposed to just the intraday. I just don't get enough entries on the 15-minute to trade something intraday regularly. So that's what the power bar looks like on the 15-minute. Again, the indicator with all of these shorts and longs is for sale. The link is in the description below. If you want that power bar strategy and want to know exactly how I trade it, exactly what the setup looks like, comment power in the comments below, and I'll send you a free cheat sheet on how to trade the power bar. I hope this simple setup was helpful for your trading. If it was, please hit like and subscribe, and I will be making more videos like this. Thank you.